What would be the one business advice that you would give your daughter today? And that, again, goes to the audience, obviously, that you would say, this is the essence of success of business.
Oh, wow. Number one, give it a go. Have faith in yourself. Nobody ever achieved anything by sitting down and thinking about it. You've actually got to physically do it. Take a risk, give it a go, and if you stumble, stand straight back up again and try again. Listen. That's really, really important.
Welcome to QuestX podcast. Today we have Anna Dutton, the co-founder of the CEO magazine. It's good to have you, Anna.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Today's going to be very casual discussion. We'll just talk. You can ask us questions. We want to know about you, your journey, and some of your belief systems that I think is going to be beautiful to share with the audience.
Yeah.
But we will start with a game. And Tanya runs the game, so not me.
So we're going to play two truths and a lie. So if you can tell us three things about yourself and have one of those false, and we're going to try to guess which one is false.
Oh, gosh. I am the co-founder of the CEO magazine. I have 2 cats and I like tomatoes.
Okay, I like tomatoes. I'd like to think I like tomatoes is the lie, to be honest.
Anybody that knows me, that's a massive lie.
There you go.
I hate them with a passion.
Okay. So you have 2 cats?
I have 2 cats.
Ah, I have 1 cat. Anyway, so what type of cats? What?
They are domestic, obviously, tabby cats. So they are old age pensioners. They are both 17 years old.
Oh,
Chopper
wow.
and Minky, little rascals.
Okay, wow. So, Anna, we want to know about you. We want to know about the person. You and I have continuously have conversations that I found you're very passionate, but we really want to know where the passion came from, your starting point, and just a bit about the journey. When you came out of the UK, what did that look like? Some of the challenges you faced.
Okay. Well, I think when I look back at my life, something that I feel really grateful for is really in the early days, and I'm talking 14 years old. I've always had a lot of drive and a lot of ambition. In fact, I've got a tattoo with ambition on my back, just you know. But at 14 years old, I already had a vision, if you like, of how I could see my life spanning out, and that definitely involved Australia.
Okay.
Wasn't sure how, wasn't sure when, but it was always on my list of places that I needed to be. I'm not really sure why. Maybe I was watching Neighbours or something, and I thought so that I always thought that this would happen. I also was very fortunate in that I had a mum who ran her own business, and she was in the advertising business, and I got the front row seat to watching her grow her business, her resilience, her courage, bravery and courage was in bounds. So that, to me, I kind of grew up with that, and I wanted that. So coming to Australia was really me stepping out of the comfort zone of the day-to-day of the UK way of life, the humdrum. I was bored with it, and I wanted something new, and I could see that Australia was going to give me, could potentially give me that. So that's kind of where that came from.
Okay. And then came to Australia, and I'm sure you didn't just decide to start the CEO magazine with Chris. I mean, I'm sure you've had other...
It wasn't a straightaway thing. We came to Australia, and I sort of hit the ground running with a job. I found a company doing something very similar to what I was doing in the UK. I was a communications manager for a high-tech company, and it was a great role because it opened my eyes to the Australian way of working and marketing in this market, and I got to see a lot of Australia through that role. But at the same time, Chris, he was my husband at the time. He had an idea that he wasn't sure whether it would work over here, but he was sort of working on things at the time that he thought might come to fruition. And after about a year of me, maybe 18 months of working in the marketing communications, we thought, let's give it a go. Let's see if this idea could actually work. And that's when, it wasn't the CEO magazine at the time, it was Australia's Best. So we started industry magazines because we could see there was a bit of a gap in some lessons that we'd learned in marketing and publishing in the UK that weren't being used in Australia. So we thought, right, let's jump on that. Let's see what happens. Took a risk. Small risk at the time, but still a risk.
Yeah.
It was only the two of us.
Well, business and risk tends to come hand in hand, yeah? Like, that's just how I see it. I mean, you're in business, Tanya, and you take risks every day.
I do take risks. I think you need to have that risk appetite, and it sounds like you had that from, role modeling of your mother, that was something that was actually possible for you. And I think like the theme of Quest for Success is really this idea of how do you become successful and what's that journey. And it sounds like your entrepreneurial journey started quite early with a really good role model.
Yeah.
Is there someone who's been a really good role model for you that has shown you, what's possible and helped you do things like not just launch in Australia, but also really create a global company?
Oh, there are many, many people that have inspired me along my journey, and to pinpoint one would just be too much of a challenge. But the people that really resonate with me and people that I kind of am drawn to and inspired by are those people that have come from a place of adversity. So somebody who has really had to fight the odds to win and to be successful. And that success can be in so many different forms. It doesn't just to be the traditional success. But I suppose somebody more recently that's inspired me is Lane Beachley. And her story, against all odds in a male-dominant sport, she gained many wins. And that story I find really resonates and is so inspirational. She fought her fears, she kept going, and it was that go-get, can-do attitude that I absolutely love, and that's what inspires me.
Every time I talk to you, Anna, your passion around causes and delivering outcomes and coming from challenging beginnings tends to be always a core of your belief system. I've always sensed that from you. But one of the things you've highlighted to me that I never really paid attention to is actually even the products you buy tend to have they have to be from an ethical. So tell me more about it, because I know this is a big thing for you, and you brought it up to. I'm like, I should pay attention to this more, and it was from you, from conversations that I had with you. Tell us more about where this came from and why that specific challenge, because I know you advocate significantly for that.
I think it's just because I've been really fortunate in being able to talk to so many people because of the magazine, that I can really see the struggles in, for example, the cotton industry and what it takes for a farmer to produce. So I would rather ethically source where possible, because I know how much hard work goes into that. I think that's where I suppose where you're getting my belief system from. It's knowing that these people have got through such hard times to create something beautiful that majority of people still don't recognise. I want to be the advocate for that. Wave the flag.
Amazing. So we met on Richard Branson's island.
Yes, we did.
And then we connected and we became very good friends. And the learning from that, and then the journey that we've had ever since, it's been, we collaborated, we connected, we built some beautiful projects, that we worked on. And always, I would say, you've been a person that I confide in when I had challenges sometimes, or just discussing with you, or things like that. You've got a nature of taking in, listening, and supporting. Where does this come from? Because it's embedded in your, in your personality. And I'm talking about from the day that I met you at Richard Branson all the way through. We just had that. You've always been very placid and welcoming.
I think that has grown over time. I think when you first start out in a career, it's all about the next step, and you just got to keep going and keep going and keep going, and regardless to whatever's going on around you, you're just on this train of keep going. But then I'm not even sure when it was. You take a step back and you realise that actually you gain more from just stopping for a second and listening. And I think listening is a very, very underrated skill, especially in our world of so much AI and IT and everything. I think if you actually just stop, connect and listen, that's a really important skill to have.
Okay, active listening.
Active listening. Yeah.
Amazing.
So in the time in the magazine, you've obviously interviewed some very amazing people. Is there anyone that stands out to you as your favourite interview, or the person who inspired you the most, or that you were really excited about interviewing?
Well, I actually don't do most of the interviews. This is all done by my team, which are awesome. But I've read many, many of the stories. And again, it's probably, it's those stories that resonate with me on someone who's had a battle. And that could be from a diversity situation. In fact, I think one of your guests on this podcast was Sandra D'Souza, and her story to me really resonated. And she came from a place of adversity. She's fighting all the odds, and she's still giving it a red hot go. I think I could probably say to you, Elle Macpherson, to an extent. She was incredible, and her story is a great one. But it's not always the big names for me that inspire me. It's the littler people with the battles that they faced and how they've overcome those and how they've handled them that inspires me.
So you're going to be the media sponsor for QuestX. Why was it that you wanted to be involved with QuestX?
Okay, so not only has obviously Yasser had a lot to do with that. We became friends on Necker Island, but this actually comes down to my core values. So one of those in particular is trust and authenticity. Well, the second one is authenticity, and I think knowing and having got to know Yasser and his team, I really wanted to be an advocate for what they're trying to do here and what they will absolutely succeed in doing, because I believe in them and I know that they believe in me. So that it was a win-win. I knew it was something I needed to do.
Absolutely. And Anna has always been supportive to the idea of equality and helping people. And last year when we had our the Impact conference last year, and I was like, yeah, I'll come and support. But I think that was an eye-opening, in my opinion, to a lot of people that came in, because in the room we've had people attending that never really been exposed to that level of diversity, and that conference had shown a lot of that. I can tell you now, when I spoke with Anna, I want your support with QuestX. It is designed to deliver something good. It's run under the non-for-profit, and it's to help people to be inspired. And I was like, okay, let me look into that. I want to help. And this is the attitude. That's why we're friends, actually, because it's the attitude of helping and giving back and supporting good causes that deliver good outcomes that are designed for the greater good of the society, disregarding the fact that that we could be different in our belief system, different in our approaches, different in what we want to achieve. We have a common goal. We're making our society stronger, helping people be inspired, and supporting a good cause that delivers greatness to our community. And that alignment, I think, is apparent all the way through.
Absolutely. And something that I'm really passionate about also is connecting people. And I can see through what you're doing, you're enabling people to be connected and also maybe find something out about themselves that they didn't even knew existed. And that's what I love about what I do, and where I can see the alignment between what you're doing and what I like to do.
Absolutely. And just, I'm very grateful for your support to QuestX, because I genuinely believe that QuestX is amazing. Tanya is also another person that I've asked to step in and help us out with QuestX, with her expertise and her knowledge, and she's been fantastic. And she puts me in a check sometimes.
Somebody has to.
Somebody has to. Yeah. I go wild was my thing to do. I'm just very passionate about what I do. That's a fact.
I think that shows, though, and that's why you've made a success of what you do, because passion drives everything.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm interested to you talked about success before. I'm wondering what your definition of success is. What does that look like to you when you say that, you know, there's been a success, or that a business is successful, or a person is successful? What does that mean, and how are you like measuring that?
Oh, wow. It's very difficult to measure. You can have all the metrics in the world to measure success financially or growth or in so many ways. But actually, what success means to me is happiness. Having balance and being happy. And if you don't have that, what's the point?
Yeah, it's interesting that I'm doing a PhD looking at small and medium business, the key success factors of small and medium businesses in government regulated spaces. A bit of a mouthful. and what I've been learning is that the only definition we really have around success is money. That's really how most of the world measure if a business is successful. Not a person, but a business. If a business is successful, it really talks about profit margins, and it talks about profit, and it talks about revenue figures. There's very little metrics around, is the business doing good? Is there an impact? Is there something that's giving back? So I always like to see how other people see it, and trying to get some different perspectives. What about you, Yasser? What does success mean to you?
Sense of achievement. I think success is achieving, and what that achievement can be multiple things. And I think if we create a narrative around success to be one thing and not the other, that's we're cutting ourselves short. 'Cause sometimes it's just complementary factors, right? So when you talk about financial outcomes, I'm not particularly money driven at all, but I recognize the fact that if the business is not sustainable, I will not be able to deliver the great things that I'm doing. So I need to make sure that the business is financially sustainable, so I can help more people, so I can give opportunities to people, that I can have access to certain things that can support people. So I think sense of achievement to multiple layered goals is very important to me, and that is the token of success. So sustainable business that helps people, that creates happiness, that gives back to the community is what I would say is success together. It's a little bit, you know, when I look at the concept of business, stages of life as we go through the journey changes on how we look at it.
Absolutely.
And that plays a big part of it. Like if you asked me that question 15 years ago, my answer would have been completely different, because you come to recognition that sometimes we're chasing a goal that can never be achieved. And that is tricky, because if your goal keeps coming closer to you, your ambition dies down, right? Your goal should always be further away. And every time you get closer to it, it goes further away, and you keep going. That's when you don't stop. You get passionate. You recognize this fact as you mature in life and get, you know, the experience and the exposure to setbacks, challenges, things like that. Before, I was like, I've got a goal and I just want to achieve it, and my focus is to achieve it. Now, my focus is not to achieve it, because if I achieve it, it means I stop being ambitious, right? So I don't want to achieve my goal. I just want to keep pushing my goal further and further. You know, so it's just a bit of a change of mindset, and I think experience plays part of it. I met fascinating people that impacted my life, and as I talk to them about their journey, you know, I start realizing how small I am, and other people talk to me and they realize how small they are, and right? So we keep taking away from each other's journeys to create what we call success.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So
I agree. Those goals do change over time with different situations, and once, as you said, like once you've achieved something, it shouldn't stop there. It's getting to the next bit, as long as it's not money driven, and that's when greed can set in. It's about the impact that you're making. It's about being sustainable. It's about making your life happier, whatever that looks like, and that could be achievement in itself might make you happy. Yes. So I agree totally.
So being a mother, how did that play in the middle of business journey? Because I think you're a fantastic mother. I know exactly how you interact with your daughter, and how much everything is secondary to that relationship. But that could be a motivational thing to succeed, and it can be sometimes a setback. And how you manage that, and how do you look at that?
In the beginning days, it was quite a challenge, because when you're a founder of a business, you kind of do everything yourself. And between us, a small group, we did everything ourselves. And I knew about 2-3 years into the business that I felt pregnant, and I wanted a child, and then I felt pregnant. So I thought, I need to make sure that I put people in place that can replace me. And I struggled with that to start with, because it was my baby, it was our baby, and I had to let go. But thank God I did. And I found, I think this is a bit of my experience more came in terms of marketing and publishing, and I found the right people for the right skills who had could see our vision and wanted to come along, not just for the ride, but also to push the boundaries with us. And finding those people was absolutely vital. I couldn't have gone off on maternity leave if I hadn't have found those people, and putting my trust in those people was paramount. I always have one foot in. I wasn't completely off having my child or anything, because when you're in a business, that always happens. But she did spur me on, because I knew, as it did her dad, Chris. You think you want to make sure you're setting the right example for your children, and showing them that in adversity, in challenging situations, if you fail, it doesn't mean you've failed. It means it's another stepping stone to success. And that's the kind of thing that I keep telling my daughter even today. Don't worry if you stumble. It's okay. It's a building block. You'll learn from it, move on, and then you'll become better. So she's definitely focused. I'm more focused on how I'm delivering messages because of her. Because would I say this to my daughter? Okay. And that's the kind of thing that I think of when I'm talking to people.
So what would be the one business advice that you would give your daughter today? And that, again, goes to the audience, obviously, that you would say, this is the essence of success of business.
Oh, wow. Number one, give it a go. Have faith in yourself. Nobody ever achieved anything by sitting down and thinking about it. You've actually got to physically do it. Take a risk, give it a go, and if you stumble, stand straight back up again and try again. Listen. That's really, really important. And I suppose something that I've learned along the way, and I'm still learning, read the small print. Okay. When it comes to contracts, when it comes to doing business with other people or employment, read the small print.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm a person that doesn't like to read things unless.
What do I?
It's my debate with Tanya here. I'm talking about, by the way. I believe, and in contracts you have to read. So I do read the contracts thoroughly. So I'm not against reading. I just feel that generally speaking, if the message can be written in 3 sentences, then it should be written in 3 sentences. Right. And going on and on about it is, and other people, which is something I know that, and it's a personal preference, I would say. Other people like to be, give me more in-depth details, so I understand exactly what you're trying to say, so there's no ifs and buts about it. And so it's just a school of thought. So reading the fine prints, it's not every person's forte, right? No. I'm a person that if I don't have to read 10 pages, I won't read 10 pages, but I'd read a book that is that big, no problems. Yeah. And that's why we have lawyers and people and other people that can help us out.
As long as somebody's reading the small print.
Yeah. Someone needs to pay attention, yeah.
And I think more relevant, I suppose, to her today, and something that I always talk to her about, is surrounding yourself with people that lift you up. I try and do that in my career now, but when you're at school, it's a really tough environment, and it's very, very challenging. So I'll always just say to her, does this person fill you up? Are you happy to be around that person? If they're bringing you down, move along the bus. That's
a big one, because we always say you are the sixth of the 5 people you hang around
Yeah.
the most. Right? And I've read that and I've seen that. But it's true. The more you hang around people that inspire you and bring your happiness and energy out, the better you achieve things. It's just it's a natural thing. They just lift you up. And it goes vice versa. So if we're paying attention to the people we are spending the most time with, the people that we call friends, you know, who are your friends? Who are the people that you know when life gets hard?
Yeah.
And life does get hard. We're going to pick the phone up and have a conversation with, and they're going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to QuestX about this actually. And usually we don't tap into the conference much in these conversations. But the idea of it is that it's finding the people you can hang around with, finding the right mentors, the stories that made a difference. And every time I hear a success story, it's never that anyone did it on their own. It's always with someone else, always with a companion along the way. Maybe many companions along the way, or mentors, or things like that. And that just tells us we just cannot do it on our own.
No, people need people.
And it's also not just the speakers on the stage, not the mentors you're learning from that are mentor-mentee, but actually if you look at any learning environment, you actually learn more from the person sitting next to you. So whether that be primary school, high school, you know, I'm a teacher by background, and a teacher knows that what you say up the front is important, but actually those reflective activities between you and how people implement it next to each other is where the learning actually happens, and then how they implement it into, you know, an assignment or something like that. But at QuestX, the idea is that we're going to have a room full of amazing people. So the person you're sitting next to should be just, you know, and those conversations and reflections of what the speakers are saying of, wow, do you do that? How do you do that? What does that look like in your business? What's your business? How have you gotten there? And just not only having role models on the stage who've created, you know, global businesses or amazing businesses, but the small business owner sitting next to you who can also tell you equally an amazing story about their determination, and finding your tribe, finding people who are on this journey, because it is very lonely being a business owner. It's very lonely trying to find people who understand the challenges and the compromises that you make as a business owner aren't understood by all. So I think finding your tribe and being in that room is equally as important as what the speakers at the front say.
I agree 100%. That's why we encourage people to connect and talk. I mean,
so we're trying to bring so many people together, right? We're trying to do something quite ambitious, not just have 100 people in the room, but have 400, 500, 600, 700 people together in the room.
Yeah. You know, one thing I also think puts back a bit off without even, I don't think it's true judgment in some cases, but they think that successful people are arrogant. So they are intimidated by reaching out. And even I have people reaching out to me, like, I know you're busy, I just thought to ask. Instead of actually asking the question, you know. So is Anna Dutton arrogant?
God, I hope not. I try and... I've had a few, especially the younger generation, in my network of women that I work with. I do lots of different events, and quite often I get the younger generation of female leaders coming through, shuffle up to me like, oh, I'm sorry, are you busy? I'm like, no, I'm not busy. And I try and set that to rest straight away. Like, I am probably one of the most authentic people in the world. I am an open book. You can ask me anything. And that could be anything from your career to get up on stage and talking, to motherhood, to work-life balance, to yoga, whatever that is. Yeah. You know, I'm an open book, and I'll tell you anything you want to know if I can help.
That's amazing. You know, I know that. Yeah.
I know you know that.
So I'm really interested in your legacy. So what is it with the CEO magazine or other ventures you might have, you know, after that, that you're hoping to really leave on the world? What's your legacy?
Oh, wow. I think this goes back to the magazine, really, and it's the power of storytelling. Having a voice and actually telling your story is not just important to the person telling the story, but it's really important to the person that resonates with that story, because that could be the moment that changes their life. Whether that's through the magazine as in the publication, or it could be through the events that we do with the Executive of the Year Awards. I'm extremely proud of our awards, because the amount of women in particular that I have coached and helped to actually put themselves forward for the awards. And I say the same thing. It's not just about you. It's about the next person that sees you putting yourself forward, that gives them that I can do attitude. That's profound. So that's where I think that the magazine really has an impact. And I'm super proud of that.
Amazing. Your awards, like I've seen a lot of awards, but one of the things I like about your awards, the process is very tight. And that makes the awards meaningful. You know what I mean? Like there's no favors. So anyone that wins your award is actually, because I know that firsthand, but I'm just saying, like the process is quite significant. There's all the judges, you know, are quite knowledgeable people. The process is tight. I think it's sometimes a little bit too much if you ask me, but I get why, because the integrity of the process is powerful. So any person that you encourage to go through the process, and they're actually going through a process that will highlight their strength and they will highlight their achievements.
Yeah, and this is why we really do try and celebrate the people that are finalists, not just the winners, because we have hundreds and hundreds of applications. I literally read them all. So to even get through to be a finalist is a massive achievement. So yeah, we try and celebrate everybody.
Yeah.
I know that Yasser was a winner of an award, as was Christian Stevens that we've had in here.
Yeah.
What does it take to be the winner of such a prestigious award?
Oh gosh, now that's a huge question. For me, when I look at an application, it's really important that my values are right there. It's authenticity. Like I have to see that in the application, that they've actually bothered to spend the time doing it themselves. Yes, you can have help with your co-workers, your marketing, to put information together, but I need to know the why, and that really comes from the person, not from their marketing department. So that's a really important thing for me. But it's all about looking at the impact also that company's having on not just themselves as an organisation, but outwardly. So that's something that really I look to when I'm looking at the applications, not just the person, but it's the whole impact.
And I know you're very passionate about women's right and gender parity, and as you said, we had Sandra D'Souza in here previously. What is the gender parity split between women and men that are winning the awards? Well,
it's a bit of a sorry state, but we did actually manage to get parity a couple of years ago, which, wow, I sang that from the rooftops. We had to work really, really hard to get that, because it was getting women to apply. That was the challenge. Yeah. Women generally don't want to blow their own trumpet. So I was on the bandwagon. I was like, come on, we've got to do this. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, we took a bit of a downturn. But we're getting back there now. So we're getting back to parity. So we're not quite there, but I'm hopeful for this year. Now things have all got back to normal, that we'll get more of a 50-50 split.
I heard a beautiful story about... I've forgotten her name, but the Australia Post CEO.
Oh my God, Christine Holgate.
She was a winner of the awards.
Yeah, she was incredible actually, and that was a story which I love to tell, because the awards for her really lifted her and helped her move up in her career and move to another amazing job. And she really does advocate the awards, and then that helped her move forward. She's spoken at a couple of our awards because of that reason, and hopefully that has resonated. Well, I know it has resonated with many other women, but you don't have to be already at the top of your game and arrogant to want to win at the awards. It's all about the process, as Yasser was saying. It's all because you recognise it's like a reflection. So when you're filling in the application, you're looking back on your achievements and going, oh man, I did that. Actually, yeah, well done me. Or well done the team. So it's the whole process, I think, that really matters. But yeah, I know many women as well as men, actually, that the awards has actually really helped them with their careers.
Amazing.
Yeah. Anna is an amazing person, just, I have to say that. It's, it's true. I genuinely believe that you're an amazing person, achieving amazing things, believing amazing things. And I just want to watch your journey, because I know you're just going to keep going for great things. And the passion is not around delivering financial outcomes. I know that. It's always about gender parity. It's all around believing in environment and doing good things and impact and delivering, being a voice for others. I mean, one of the things that the CEO magazine is big on, and you big on, is magnifying the voice of others, magnifying the success stories of others, so people can learn from that.
Absolutely.
So it's I can't wait to see the the great outcomes. Now I want you to just shift this around a little bit and ask us questions that you think the audience would be interested in.
Oh wow. Okay, so obviously I know quite a bit about your journey, but not everything. I know very little about yours, Tanya. So maybe my question to you is, what drives you and your success?
Well, I have 4 children, so I would say that they are very much the reason that I push so hard to be a good role model for them, and I've got 3 sons and a daughter, so to show my daughter that anything is possible, and to show my sons that women can do anything also. So yeah, it's definitely a drive. But I started my first business at 19, well before having children, and so I think the drive back then was independence and autonomy. I grew up as only child of a single mother, and didn't feel that I had a lot of power. I couldn't make a lot of choices, and so as soon as I got my first job, it was really about agency, being able to do something, be good at something, help people, contribute. All of those things have always shaped the roles I've been into, from being a teacher to running businesses to starting my own businesses. It's always been around that, giving back to people, helping people, and always trying to be the best version of myself, I think, also.
Oh, it's amazing. I definitely feel that there's been a bit of a shift recently as well when it comes to independence for women, which is why we've seen such a massive growth in startups for women. I see this in the awards, with the amount of applications actually coming through for startups is again, it's definitely grown in the last few years. But
I think also the rise of disability organisations has a lot to do with that, because there's a lot of women going into running disability businesses, and with the government investment in that space has meant that there's definitely an uptick, which is the clients that I work with, definitely a move to more women in business generally.
That's amazing. Well, Anna, that gets us to the end of our amazing point. I love chatting with you. I mean, again, this is just this thing that we always do.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Thank you for coming, and really, genuinely, thank you for supporting QuestX. Really
of course.
appreciate that.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.